Welcome to episode 2 of the Canberra United podcast. We're at Collab, Brindabella, hosting our podcast today, and I've got my 2 teammates with me, Mary Stanich-Floody and Sally James. Hello, Mary. How are you going today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Coco?
Sally, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks, Coco.
Thank you both for joining me and being a part of this. Mary's our experienced guest.
Very experienced, one under my belt.
Yep. And Sal, soon you'll gain the experience.
Yeah, total rookie.
Welcome. You've got the football experience, so that's okay.
Beautiful.
All right, let's get straight into it. We're here to do the match recap on the Matildas game against the Korea Republic, and the result was 3-3. So let's just start off with an overview on that. That was the final group stage game for the Matildas, so just give us your thoughts, Mary, if you wouldn't mind starting.
I think it was an interesting game as a spectator. You know, a 3-3 is a very exciting game to watch because there is so many goals. But overall, I think it was very even, very fair contest, but very excited to go more into depth on what our thoughts are later in this podcast.
Brilliant. And Sal, what did you think?
Yeah, it was definitely a competitive match. Went home, watched it with my family. We were on the edge of our seats. Yeah, like Mary said, a goal fest for sure, which always makes for an exciting match. And I think, Korea were very disciplined, especially in the second half. They sat in a low block, which we kind of struggled to break down a little bit there. So, yeah, definitely learnings to take into the next game.
Yeah, lovely. Great answer. I think as well, Mary, you said it was a spectacle, and I think the spectators would have been very happy. And there was 60,000 that packed out the Sydney Stadium, so that just would have been the most incredible feeling and vibe and the biggest crowd. I think it broke all those records and everything. So very exciting for the Australian public and everyone that came to watch. And hopefully, as we're all working towards growing football in Australia as well, I think that was a great game in terms of that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
All right. Let's rock into it. So we're going to touch on some things. I think what I'd like to start with is speaking about the first half. How did the Matildas go in the first half? What are your thoughts, Mary?
I think the first half was very interesting because you don't know what the game's going to pan out like in the first 5 minutes. But I think the first 10 minutes, the Matildas did dominate. They were winning their 1v1 battles. They were executing. And I think after the 30th minute, it tended to get a little bit out of their hand, out of control. I think the Matildas struggled to execute their final passes. The ideas were there and, you know, on any other day they're hitting those passes. But I think the first part of the first half they really dominated and Korea then managed to step up onto their level. So interesting, very unexpected because you don't know what they're going to come out like. But I think the first half was, just an interesting game. Great
answer. I tend to agree with you. I think I clocked the first 10 or 11 minutes. We could have had 2 or 3 quality goals and we had lots of opportunities, and then Korea made it down our end and finished. Now, Sal, I know you would have watched that goal. Can you give me your goalkeeper's perspective on that and give us a little breakdown?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think whenever you're facing shots early in a game, it's always a challenge, and I guess that's the job of a goalkeeper, to be ready for a shot whenever, from wherever as well. It's a tricky one. It's been fizzed, obviously, across the face of the goal. You've kind of got recovering defenders there. Do you stay? Do you come? It's tough. I think she's just stood there, tried to make a reaction save, and the striker slotted away nicely.
Also, credit to the ball in behind. That was
tops.
Perfection.
So good.
You know, put her there again. I think it's hard to replicate what she did, and I think the centre-back's roles and job in that moment was very difficult, and, it's tough to put onto Mackenzie Arnold on what she would have done there when, it's such a perfect ball.
Yeah. It was a class ball, left foot. It was unreal. Slick pitch, it was really good.
She was even off balance when she did it.
Yeah, it was really good. And, Mac, I think, was unlucky, but did the best she could. The pace that was coming at was really good, and as it always happens, we had our chances down the other end. They come down our end and then, of course, they finish. But anyway, moving on from that, Australia did equalise at 1-1. Alana Kennedy got the crumbs off the goalkeeper. I think she scored it with her thigh. It all counts as a goal. So that was really good to equal up and level up. And I think what that did for the team and the Matildas in terms of confidence into the match was really good. I think that was around the 30th minute. So building into it was good. But what did you think about that?
I think after the first goal, momentum sways a little bit, and I think towards the end of the half, it seemed to do that. But I think in a way, they really could have capitalised on the momentum that they did have. They were, I think, in South Korea's territory a lot But just really taking that, I don't think they did as well as they could have and what they usually do. But I think, after Alana's goal, a goal's a goal, so it doesn't really matter how it comes. I think, they should have really capitalised a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're left definitely relishing those opportunities that you miss for sure. I think the character from the girls was incredible. To go down, especially 10 minutes into the first half or so, that's tough, and it's so easy to feel like you get the wind taken out of your sails. But I thought their response was great, and to equalise, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And Mary, can I get your technical opinion on the Matildas? What do you think they could have done better in terms of on the ball with their midfield, defensively, attacking? What do you think about that?
I think from a technical point of view, it's just executing your passes. I feel like it was a little bit rushed trying to play forward and rather, just swinging it back and, having the ball a little bit longer and waiting for the right moment. But at the end of the day, you play what you see in the moment, so credit to them. And the balls they were trying to play, it was to an attacking player facing backwards, so of course it's an unlikely chance, but credit to the run, it was good. But I think just really playing out, having the patience, moving the ball, is really the way to break down these Asian teams.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky to keep the ball and keep your composure, especially when you're down. Everything's telling you to just hit the ball forward and try and create a counter-attack and just try and get one back. But sometimes it's almost counterintuitive. Like if you do keep that ball that little bit longer, even though you might think in the immediate moment, we're not creating anything, you are actually tiring out the opposition. And then that's going to lead to a moment in time where you can break and, you can get in on goal.
But for sure, if I was in that game and I'm hearing the roar of 60,000 behind me, of course the first instinct is to go forward. So
100%. I'd shoot from halfway.
All right, maybe that's why you're a goalkeeper.
Yeah, put me back in the box.
Imagine Sally just taking a touch up, looking up, bang.
Well, we've seen how that's gone.
Okay, hypothetically, what would your celebration be in front of 60,000 people?
Well, if I was away,
Yeah.
I'm shushing the crowd.
Shushing the crowd?
No, let's be honest, I don't have the balls for that. No way. I don't think I would actually celebrate because I would have no idea what I was doing. Like,
I feel like maybe like a flip or cartwheel or something. Just try something. Surely.
Pull out a Sam Kerr.
You're never scoring, so like it's got to be a good celly, surely.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm asking the two keepers what their celebrations would be. Anyway.
Hey, I've got a bank of celebrations, don't worry about that.
Yeah, I just copy one of yours, actually. You've done this one once.
I have done that. I've shushed the crowd.
You've done the shush.
I've done the shush. We don't talk about that. It was in the moment.
Did we lose that game?
No, we drew 1-1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so capping off the first half and leading into the second half, the Matildas were up 2-1. Sam Kerr got on the score sheet. Can you round that up?
I think as a team collectively, when they're walking in at halftime, the first one to congratulate Sam and say well done is Michelle Heyman. And I think that just, really shows the character of the teams behind the scenes, the players behind the scenes. But I think it was very deserved. It was bound to happen for Sam to score. She had maybe 2 or 3 opportunities and, when it mattered, she really took her chance. So credit to her, but I think at the end of the day, it was just a credit to the team and how they were playing in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, what a player. In training, when I went in just to train with the girls and help them out, we were doing a crossing drill, came in from a corner and the ball's kind of gone back stick and I've gone, there's no way, she's going to hit this first time on the volley. And obviously she did. And it was gone top bins at that too. I just stood there and I thought in my head, oh, wow, I look like an absolute pumpkin right now. I didn't even move, but... Yeah, what a player. We're so lucky to have her playing for us. I'm so glad she's Australian. Yeah.
Very well said. Leading into the second half, what do you think was Sally sidebar? But Mary, what do you think was happening in the change room? What was Australia's plan and what didn't they do in the second half to execute?
I think going into the change room, it was working for them. There was only a few missed opportunities, very critical, the passes they were playing on the wrong side. It was very critical and hard to critique. And I'm sure that's very hard as a coach. You've got 45 minutes watching them and you've got 15 minutes to deliver a message to them when they're 2-1 up in a really high intense game in front of 60,000 fans. I think if I was in the change room, it's more of a sense of trying to continue the push that they were doing. The last 15 minutes, they were all over them. First 10 minutes also, they also were all over them until the goal happened, and that's where the change of momentum happened. But I think it was just mostly to stick to the game plan. It was working, so I wouldn't change something which doesn't need to be fixed. But I'm really not too sure, but I'm sure it was very positive in there.
Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
They're right.
But unfortunately, we did concede. We got the penalty and then they scored a few minutes after that, which was obviously the penalty definitely looked to take a bit of steam out of the players, and I think their confidence went down. On the flip side of that, Korea, they were brilliant, attacking, relentless, and they only seemed to need one or two opportunities, and they were clinical, very, very good quality, and individually they were brilliant, but it did take the wind out of the Matildas, unfortunately. I think that's maybe where we went wrong, and then we were chasing and fighting for the next 20 or 30 minutes, which we did create chances, but just didn't stick the nail in the coffin, so to speak.
For sure, and Korea would have come out with a sense of they've got nothing to lose. You know, they made 2 substitutions, which were the right substitutions. You know, they created 2 goals. So I think it's a very different perspective for both teams. You know, you've got one team which is like, we've got nothing to lose, let's top the group. And then you've got another team trying to hold it off. So it's very difficult to make that decision technically on what you want to do when, yeah, the Matildas were doing really well. But in the second half, it did take a wind out. You know, Nevin, it's an unlucky call. You know, her head wasn't even facing the ball, but, you know, it did hit her hands. But, yeah, I think that took the momentum out for sure. But, you know, the resilience towards the end to even bring a goal back in, like, the last minute just shows the Matildas' never say die attitude. Yeah.
At home, like, with that penalty call, my mum knows nothing about football, but she was like, no way. And I, to be honest, I agreed with her initially as well, because how can you say that it's deliberate when you're not even looking where the ball came from? Sure. Like, I think it was just, really unfortunate. But, I mean, we've seen penalties be called and not called in all kinds of different scenarios, so sometimes you don't really know. But, yeah, unfortunate moment. Nebs is a top player. Cracker left foot as well. So, yeah.
For sure, and also replacing Steph Catley so early on, you know, mentally, to stay so mentally resilient, to know that you've got a job to do, you don't know when you're going to come on, but to come out and do what she did, it was very impressive. And, you know, credit to her. I think she did a great job, and it was just unfortunate for her.
I think we've summed up the game well, and I just want to do one more finishing note on the 3-3 and what that meant for the Matildas. Alana scored and equalised in the 94th minute, so well into extra time. But what can the Matildas gain from that? It's not a loss. Of course, that meant they finished second in the group because of the goal difference. But what can they take into their next quarterfinal or their next game?
I think they can take in a lot. You know, it's tough to be in a position where you're versing North Korea next, Perth, and the travel, as we said last podcast, the travel does get to you. It's a long flight. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot of positives, and, you know, it's very easy to polish up for the Matildas in a sense that they just need to clean up their passes, really recognise the areas where they can capitalise on. And, you know, I think in this game against South Korea, it was very clear that the wide channels which they were finding against the Philippines, they were really struggling to find. So it gives them a different approach into the next game. But I think leading into it, it's very easy to polish and clean up, you know. They could have easily won, I feel, the game against South Korea without their little mistakes. But I think cleaning that up, it's very positive going into the next game.
Yeah, great. And Sally, could you give me a something the Matildas could work on? Like, I'll get Mary to do a pit and you do a peak, so you can do the high of the game, or vice versa. You do the positive of the game and you do the peak. So where can they improve, and what did they do really good?
Something I've really loved is seeing, like, Alana Kennedy play higher. She's such a techie player. Like, her touch is so good. Like, it's hard to describe. You know, I feel like sometimes you pigeonhole, like, we tend to have a tendency to pigeonhole centre backs and go, okay, you know, they just stay at the back and play nice and safe and things like that. And she's always been a really good distributor of the ball. So, yeah, having her step into that higher position, more into the midfield, and start doing those same things in terms of, unlocking quality passes and opening up the game, I think, she's quality. So I've really enjoyed seeing that. And then also four goals in 2 games. That's incredible.
No worries. Yep. I hope she's got a good goal bonus. She probably hasn't. She probably doesn't.
No.
Nah, that was unreal from her, though. And Mary, what do you think the Matildas, looking forward into the next game, something that they can improve on?
I think being clinical with their shots. Each game they've had a higher total shot in the statistics. So really capitalising and, taking they scored 3 goals, so credit to them. And, usually if you score more than 2 goals, it tends to win you games. But I think just being more clinical is the only thing they can really do, and just finally polishing off that and getting the result they need.
Okay, now to finish off, I've got a rapid fire mini game for us. This or that. You can stay neutral if you like on this.
Oh, okay.
So I can ask Mary.
Okay.
We'll see.
So it's this or that position edition. Yeah. So I'm just going to ask you, for example, of the goalkeepers, which one did better, and then just give me an answer, and hopefully one line you can comment on that.
Okay, perfect.
All right, and we'll go through the 4 main positions. Okay, so starting with the goalkeepers, we've got Mackenzie Arnold or Kim Min-jung.
Kim Min-jun. I think she really stepped up in the second half. She saved her head off, and that was really amazing, and it just, kept South Korea in the game. So that would be my player.
Agreed. And for centre backs, I've got Claire Hunt or the captain of the Korean team, Go Yoo-jin.
Oh, that's tough. I would go Claire Hunt. I think she's just she's very steady, and the way she plays is just, you can rely on her.
Great answer. Good to have a reliable centre back.
For sure.
Yep. And in the midfield, Sal, I'll throw this one to you. Alana Kennedy or Zhang Seoji?
Yeah, Alana Kennedy. No doubt there. She's been incredible this tournament. So cool to watch her play.
Absolutely. And for the strikers, I've got Sam Kerr or Shui Yu Ri.
I don't know. That one's tough. I'm going to sit on the fence, and I'm going to go both. They both had a huge impact in the game. So I'll sit on the fence for this one.
I think that's fair. They both had a goal, and they both probably could have had 1 or 2 more, Sam especially. But I think equally on paper, and it was a draw, so fair to call that one a draw.
Sure.
All right, lovely. And just to finish off, so that's our recap of the game. 3-3 draw. Matilda's now moving on to their game in Perth and travelling back over there. But I asked Michelle Heyman what she thought and what the feeling inside the Matildas camp is, and I'll just read that out. So she said they were disappointed in not getting the results that they wanted, but also they didn't lose, so they have full confidence and belief in the pathway that they're on now. Their main focus is to recover and do everything we can as a group and individually to be prepared for the next game.
Thanks, Michelle. She's a G for that.
Yeah, she's so well spoken.
She's brilliant.
But everything she says is very true. They're still undefeated, credit to them. They've still got a lot of momentum leading into the next match, and it's very exciting because, they played at Perth already. Mm-hmm. So exciting to see where that goes. Yeah,
absolutely. Good luck, Chili's. Sal, throwing it over to you. So obviously you got called into the Matildas camp. There's been a goalkeeper dominoes pile, many down. You're the next one who got called in. Congratulations on that. And I just want to know what that meant to you and how your season's gone so far, leading to that as a good reward.
Thank you. It was a really cool experience up in the Gold Coast. Picked up a nice 10.
Oh.
Which, I feel like doesn't usually happen for me.
Really noticeable.
Yeah, you can really tell. It's a great experience. It's so professional, and every time you go in, you just learn so much. Kind of having a bit of a sponge mentality, if you want to go with that. Even within like a 10, 15, 20-minute video presentation, like the book that I've got where I write down notes, or the note in my phone app. The app? No, what am I trying to say?
The notes app in your phone.
The notes app in my phone. Yeah, it's full. You cannot go into an environment like that and not leave having taken lots of information in.
I know you've been called up before, but what was it like getting the phone call? Because it is the Asian Cup.
Yeah, I was having a nap.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was having my afternoon nap. And then my phone rang. I rolled over. I was like, "Hello," and then I heard the keeper coach's voice. I thought, "Oh, whoops!
Better sit up
here." And he just kind of asked if I could come in and help out. Obviously, unfortunately, they've had some pretty terrible injuries. Devastated for Jada and obviously Macca there. as well. But, thankfully she's back now, fit, which is great, and available to play. Just grateful for any opportunity I have to go in. So, learnt lots.
And what was your biggest takeaway from the camp?
Ooh, biggest takeaway from the camp? Yeah, that's a great question. Probably just that tournament football is a different beast. Like, you don't have time to dwell on previous mistakes or a mistake that you made in a training session, and especially in the capacity that I came in as well. Like, I'm there to be at the disposal of the players, essentially. Like, if I just need to be ready to face as many shots as possible. It doesn't matter if you let one in, you just have to be back up and be your best self to try and make it as hard as you can for the players, because then that helps them prepare the best as well. Also just the professionalism, intensity. Yeah, it's so good.
Wow. You've learnt a lot. Massive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll tie that one up, and now I want to move on to the group stage, or the end of the group stage, and into the quarterfinal. Preview the game. Australia, finding out last night, we are now playing North Korea. So they lost to China last night, which means we versed them. And Mary, if I can throw to you, what do North Korea bring to the table, and what will Australia have to beat?
They're a very technical side, and I think it will be quite similar to the other games where they sit in, kind of a different type of block. So it's going to be really hard for the Matildas to really take them down, structure them down. But I think moving forward, it's an exciting game from a spectating point of view, because you don't know what it's going to be like, because they haven't versed each other in so long. But to North Korea's credit, whenever they play, it's an exciting game. So I'm very excited to watch it, but a big job for the Matildas, definitely.
Great summary. I think also they have, it is always an exciting game with them, because they're not tentative and they don't sit in these low blocks. They're very attacking, and on transition they can be dangerous and very clinical on their chances. So it is going to be an exciting game, and obviously we hope the Matildas to come out on top and capitalise on that. But I think the Matildas will need to improve on their defence, of course, and their shape and organisation with that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's very exciting because you don't know what's going on in the North Korea's group. Are they going to sit low this time? Are they going to show a different picture? And, for the Matildas, what are they going to do? Because they're both very competitive individual battles, like for like. So it'll be exciting, but also very interesting from a technical point of view and a tactical point of view. So, yeah, really rooting for the Matildas. I know they can get the job done. It is a big trip to Perth, so hopefully they get the job done.
Absolutely. At least the Matildas have, I think, till Friday, so they've got a few days better than, like you were saying, with tournament football. You don't have long in between, so at least they've got 4 or 5 days now, which they need travelling over to Perth to prepare, recover, and go get them.
Yeah, that'll be so important, yeah.
With North Korea, what will Australia need to do, they must do to win? What would be the number one thing you're looking at?
Score goals. Score more. I think definitely just executing everything. They don't have really any second chance. This is do or die. So really taking each opportunity as they come, but really being clinical and no pressure to them. It's tough to do, but I'm sure they can do it. But yeah, I would just say taking your chances and scoring more.
Yeah, bit of Ants theology there.
Yeah.
Score more. That's... Yep.
Score more, concede less.
Yep, that's Canberra United's...
philosophy.
Yeah, basically.
Well, don't give that away.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, how could we?
Yeah, cut the tape.
It's not like it's the aim of the game.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was thinking that Australia... I watched a bit of the China game, North Korea versus China, and China capitalised on the second ball in, or the second phase. That's what I want to say. The second phase. So North Korea weren't the best at clearing their lines, or it fell into good spots around the top of the 18-yard box and around those areas that China could capitalise on. So I think Australia could really capitalise on that off corners, headers, getting the second ball, and Alana Kennedy's goal. Her first goal showed that, so I think they could really capitalise on that. North Korea are very disciplined and tight, but I think after that in the second and third line, Matildas can look to use that as a weapon, and we know how good they are at set pieces and the height of the girls. Sam, Alana Kennedy now.
Yeah, I did see the stat of that. Did you see the average height?
Second highest.
Unbelievable.
Second tallest
so yeah,
team,
I
right?
agree. If we really capitalise on that, it will be, a really fun game for us to watch.
Yeah, who's tallest?
I don't know off the top of my head.
But I hope Montemuro is listening. We've just given you the greatest game plan.
For sure. Score more, concede less.
Set
Score a
pieces.
header.
Yeah.
Happy days.
You're taller than the other team, so use that to your advantage.
I don't get to do that often.
Mary, you're freaking so tall.
5'4", watch out. Put me in the box.
That's intimidating. I wouldn't want to come up.
You got a
against
good
Mary.
jump on you.
Yeah, what's your counter movement?
Undisclosed.
Can't be worse than mine.
27?
Okay.
What are you?
know it's
You're
better than mine.
definitely more than that. I thought I was the lowest in the
Gravity
team.
holds me
No,
down.
I'm the lowest on the team. Wait, on the count of three, say what your counter movement
No, I
is.
don't know what mine is. I just thought I was
Mine's
the
like
lowest on the
5.
team.
No, it's not.
No,
Give yourself
okay,
credit.
That's 24.
Oh, solid.
No, that's not solid.
It's fine.
I've really just exposed myself there. Twiggy, I'm sorry. I'll get better, I promise.
All right, moving on. I'm going to do North Korea's biggest attacking threat, and then I'm going to throw you to the Matildas.
Beautiful.
All right, so I feel like the Matildas are going to have to be strong defensively, which we've already touched on, and I feel like North Korea are going to try expose that through their striker, who is Kim Kyung-young. She's very quick and runs in behind really well and finishes clinically. So she does have all the skills and attributes, and I feel like she's going to be a direct attacking threat. So for Australia, Claire Hunt, players like that can shut her down, show her wide, and we can get numbers in behind to defend, then we're going to have a really good chance about that. And Mary, who do you think for Australia is going to be the key that can take down North Korea?
I think the obvious one, Sam Kerr. I think with her ability, and she does it at Chelsea every week, she'll be the key one to really unlock. It's just finding the way to unlock her, which they need to find early on in the game, and if not, you study that now. But I think breaking down the defence also it's got to be Alana Kennedy. She's our top goal scorer at the moment. So her really finding those channels with the headers, the crosses in, finding her in the right position will really be a key way to take down.
All right, I'm going to ask you a hot take on the scoreline. What's it going to be in this game?
I think from a spectator point of view, I want it to be interesting. So maybe a 3-2 to the Matildas.
Oh, good call. Okay. Sal?
2-0.
Oh, 2-0.
Matildas.
Oh, solid. UK.
All right, I'm locking in 2-1 to the Matildas.
I just want it to be a goal fest, on the edge of my seat. Like at the World Cup when we were in the penalty shootout and went for 14.
Nah, I had the most anxiety. I was punching pillows,
I
throwing the
almost cried.
furniture. That was
Oh, me too.
an emotional
But,
roller coaster.
It was such a great game to watch. I want something like that, just action-packed.
You're speaking to two goalkeepers, so we want clean sheets.
Okay.
yeah, I was about to say,
Although
I
you
really
said
don't care.
2-1, so
Just
yeah.
10-0 for the Matildas.
Yeah. I'll take that.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
not?
Why not? Why can't they?
Okay, and when the Matildas get these wins, as we've all predicted, they're going to come up against either South Korea or Japan. Mary, what would South Korea bring versus Japan, and what will Australia be coming up against if they do progress?
I think South Korea, have already versed them, so there would be a lot to dissect from a tactical point of view on ways we can beat them, even more than they already had before going into the game. So I think if I was one of the Matildas, I would love to verse South Korea again and, get that revenge and be like, we're going to the finals. Mm-hmm. But I think from a China point of view, how China's going to play. They're very similar in the way they do it, the way they play every single year. But also having the Australian coach, it's going to be a great battle as well. So China, it's very, very difficult, and I think it'll be a tough game, but also South Korea. But I'd love to see another South Korea game rematch.
And I think Ante Milicic for China, as you said, that will be great to play against him. And Montemuro and Milicic know each other really well, so that will be super interesting. So first job to do with North Korea, and then see who we come up against next.
It'll be really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, just to finish off with, I want to know who you think, girls, is going to make the final and be in the final.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll run you through a quick rapid fire.
Okay, beautiful.
So in the semi-finals, most likely, according to my brilliant calculations, my Einstein calculations,
Yep.
I'm putting South Korea versus Japan. So who would the winner of that be to go into the final?
Japan.
Yeah.
Japan. I just thought we were going to say the same thing, and I'm glad we did.
You looked at me and I was like, why are you looking at me?
True. It was always going to be... Oh, actually, you never know in tournament football. We could sit here and say Japan confidently, and South Korea come out and do something special.
I just love the way Japan play. I'm very biased towards them.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I played in Japan twice, and just as a little tournament, and they're unbelievable. So I would really love to see them go to the final.
And for the other side of the table, we have China, who will most likely make it through, according to my calculations again, and either Australia or North Korea. So who do you think will go through?
Out of the three?
Yep.
Australia. I think
Australia.
Okay, so the final match will be Japan versus Australia.
That will be an unbelievable game.
Well, Australia did dodge Japan because we finished second, so maybe that will be a blessing in disguise, which we'll find out, of course, after Friday and moving on to that. But anyway, as it's all turned out, this is the cards we've been dealt, and we've got a job to do against North Korea. So that's our first port of call to do that, to win, and all power to the Matildas, and good luck with them.
For sure.
Okay, that's our podcast and wrap on Australia versus North Korea. Good luck, the Matildas. And we've been at Collab Brindabella, which has been fabulous. We love the podcast studio here. And thank you, Mary, and thank you, Sally, for joining me. We've had an inside word from Sally, which has been great. And Mary's technical analysis is really good. I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
so thanks,
Pep.
girls.
Pep.
I'm not doing that.
Whatever.
Not on camera.
Not on camera is diabolical.
All right, thanks, girls.
No worries. Thanks for having
Cheers,
us.
Coco.